Hello, televiewers, and welcome to the program Matters. Of course, as you all know, Matters is brought to you live for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, with exceptions being Wednesday and the weekend. On Matters, we get to delve into seasoned political debates that have been animating our national territory and also social issues. But on this particular episode of Matters, unlike the previous episodes where we get to discuss places and discuss political debates, we are going to be discussing a person. The person and my guest today on Matters is a household name. This is somebody who had a very a humble beginning, a very humble childhood. He is an indigene of Nkambe in Donga Machu Division, specifically in the Northwest region. He was born into a family of 6. 4 people have passed. There are 2 left. Him and his younger brother who lives in Houston in the United States of America. My guest today actually barely had a childhood of, a lot of pomp and pageantry. There were many times where he sold vegetables, fruits, firewood at the Nkambe market, and there were moments where he went to school barefooted. My guest today on the program is somebody who sat in class when he was at class 7, and he saw a Range Rover where a certain doctor was driving, and he thought to himself that he wanted to be like that doctor. And when he passed and over his during his transition from class 7 till secondary school when he was leaving Nkambe, then his paternal grandfather actually spoke some words and blessed him and told him, "My son, you are going to operate on people and they are going to survive." Now, in the twist of fate, we don't know if those words actually came to fruition, but that is what we are going to be demystifying in Matters today. My guest needs no introduction because his transition from becoming a civil servant to a serial entrepreneur is something that has left many people wondering. Dr. Ningwanyam, I am in your presence today. You are very much welcome. When I announced this program, somebody said I had to do a drum rolls for Dr. Nick. Robin showed us with you today. So this is actually a place where I'm doing the drum rolls. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce to you Dr. Nick Ngwanam. You're welcome, Doc.
Oh, thank you very much. I was kind of listening. In fact, you've been paying a lot of attention. You were telling me a lot of my details I'd forgotten were out there. And it's really so exciting. And I think the beauty of sharing all these is so that we can encourage each other and then show the kids, what they should do. Like when you're talking about my grandfather, to know that when you speak words on children, those words have power. And therefore, when you speak positive words and then you nurture them, those words will come to fruition. When you speak negative words, the child would suffer, and society would also suffer. So it's always good to speak positive words on children and on people and so on. It's like sowing the seed, and some of those seeds will grow.
A lot of people look up to you. You are, an elephant in the room today, and you are no small fry. I mean, without being exaggerative. People would want to find out if you are that product of grace. You are that epitome, or you are a direct replication of the statement that from grass to grace. Would you say that?
I don't know. But all I know is that I was born and I was given a certain character and a certain intuition. And I've been working on that intuition. And when you know how to read the signs of the time, to read your environment, even from childhood, it can help you a lot. From childhood, I was very conscious of our poverty. I was very, very conscious of our poverty. So I became intentional about doing something about it. And when I was in primary school, my father was a grade 3 primary school teacher. And, we had these white people, the school manager, those white people, probably you will remember, and their children used to have these bicycles and tricycles. So I used to wonder, why don't we also have bicycles and tricycles like them? And I would admire them, and I knew we didn't have money to buy those things. And I said I would buy those things for my children. I would. So in spite of being born in poverty, I knew I could do something to get out of poverty. And that is what I've been trying to share with all the youths in Cameroon, with all the people in Cameroon, to say that it's not really very much where you are born that matters. Sometimes when you are born in most difficult circumstances, it's actually a blessing if you know how to tap into that. So, and I have seen children who have lost all their parents, who have read their books under street lamps and have come up to be the top. So, more often than not, we abuse who we are, and then we take a lot of excuses to fail. And if I communicate a lot, is to be able to help people to overcome those challenges, to say that, look, you can make it if you want to.
Okay, so what would you say was that push factor towards your excelling in life? Would it be your poverty? Would it be the words that your paternal grandfather said? Or would it be the fact that you saw Dr. Ngasa one day in his Range Rover and you said to yourself, I want to be like Dr. Ngasa?
Let's say that is multifactorial, but seeing that doctor driving in the Land Rover, you know, in Nkambe's dusty streets and so on, I'm looking at him, and you know, it was not like he was speeding to some place. No, it was kind of like just having a stroll in his Land Rover, very slowly, up, down, up, down, up, down. And I'm looking at him, I say, I want to be like this doctor, you know? And so the question was, what does it take to be like that doctor? You see? So technically, if you were to relate it to the Bible, it would be like those three wise men who see the star and follow it to the east. You understand? So that's why we must also be stars in people's lives, so that they look at you and say, how did Dr. Ngwenyam get there? I want to be like Dr. Ngwenyam. And then, you know, you pull, you know, you don't know you are doing it, but you pull some children towards you, towards your vision. They want to be like you. So all along my life, I would look at a figure. I say, I want to be. So I wanted to be like Dr. Ngasa. My grandfather spoke the blessings on me. Not that I told him that I wanted to be, but he just spoke the blessings on me. I don't know how he figured it out. And then when I went to secondary school, it was like, if you want to be a medical doctor, what do you need to study to be one? How do you need to work? So, and I realized, number one, you have to work hard. So there was no room for playing and deceiving myself. And then you have to be good at the sciences. So there was no question. And you have to be well behaved. So you see, it was a packaged kind of thing. But interestingly, though I wanted to be a medical doctor, there were three things that were burning in my heart. Three things. Number one, I wanted to be a medical doctor, or a farmer,
or a pilot,
or a pilot. Now you remember those things. And the farmer kind of image in my mind was not this hoe and cutlass thing. Probably you now understand why I'm going for caterpillars to do this job. It was something that was planted in my mind a long time ago.
a refined kind of.
Yes, I want to see corn farms that go from there to over there. I want to see cattle running there, goats, sheep, and so on. I want to see, you know, big machines doing things. That is in my, I got that right from primary school, you know, and that's many years ago. Then I wanted to be a pilot. You know, like we are sitting in Kambe and this thing is going, the jet plane is going and then leaves this trail. Yeah, you're asking yourself question, how does that happen? And then you know that, oh, you know, these pilots, you know, today they're in Lagos, the next day they're in London, they're in Japan. I should also want to be in Lagos. So those are the things that were driving me. Whatever the case, the path to all of them was the same. Work hard and go to it.
You know, Doc, you are not just a successful person, but you are not just a medical doctor, but you are a surgeon. You know, can you help us navigate your path from the grassroots to the pinnacle, and now you are a celebrated surgeon in Cameroon? How did you get from that bottom to the tip top?
Okay, so you want me to tell you about how I became a surgeon, but before you box me, let me share with you something that my wife said. You know, like this kind of thing, we get tied up to our titles. You know, good morning, sir. Yeah, good morning. Who are you? No, I'm Dr. Ngwenyam. I'm Dr. Ngwenyam. My wife told me one day, shut up. You know, shut up. Stop introducing yourself as Dr. Ngwenyam. I said, what do you mean? I'm Dr. Ngwenyam. He said, no. You are not Dr. Ngwenyam. You are more than doctor. Are you getting me? And she put her foot down. Say, you are more. That's why people around you also read you like a book, and they see all these capacities in you. And then she said, when you keep introducing yourself as doctor, you are limiting yourself. You are not speaking the right words on your life. So stop saying I'm doctor, because you are more than a doctor. And technically, really, being a medical doctor, surgeon, or what is just 20% of who I am. So the other 80%, I was neglecting them. You understand? So once I got this doctor intoxication out of my system, then I started to pay attention to the 80% of the things that I was not developing. Now that's why you can see the politician out of me, the agriculture out of me, the educationist out of me, the developer out of me.
So in that case, if you have to introduce yourself now, yes, taking doctor out of the equation and making sure that all the facets of you are embodied in the, yes, presentation, how are you going to introduce yourself?
So let's put it this way. It's like a butterfly going through a metamorphosis. You do different things at different times. You know, in secondary school, I went to school and I got the certificates. Then I became a doctor, and I was working, you know, morning till evening, just like a doctor, operating and doing things. But it got to a point when I realized that there were so many other problems in the society and the community that could not be solved by me staying in the theater and operating all the hernias. So the question is, so now you are a surgeon. If you operated all the hernias in Cameroon alone, and so what? You get the point?
And you think that is no achievement?
It's an achievement.
Some other side needed to be added to you?
Yes. But this is it. There are 10,000 medical doctors in Cameroon, and they can all operate the hernias just like you. So why join them in operating the hernias? There's something. So you begin to look for that thing that is more challenging that the other 10,000 doctors cannot do, and you begin to do. So in as much as I see 10,000 doctors out there, there's something that I can do that very few of them would be able to do. Are you seeing that? Something that sets you apart, and it comes from that 80%. You know, is it making some sense so far? Very yeah. So this is something I'm trying to preach to other people. When you see like the whites and the other people who are doing well, you know that they have like a major, you know, they major in something, but they have minors in other things, and they have other, yes, they have other passions. And more often you will realize that more often than not, it's your hobby that will feed you later on in life, not actually what you studied. You get that. But when you grow and you have this box mentality, it's the box mentality that kills us. I am. And then you get into that box. And then you enter into that box and you realize that there are a lot of, you know, obstacles, and you don't know how to wriggle yourself out of it. But when you stay out of the box, keeping in mind who you are, but you stay out of the box, then you can grow a lot of things that grow you into this mustard tree, not a small tiny bean.
Of course, in the course of the interview, we are going to be looking at the political side of Dr. Nguyen, and he's worked as civil servant with the government, as a medical doctor, as a surgeon for a long time. But something happened in the 90s or the 80s, I stand to be corrected, where a 29-year-old male was tortured in custody, and his family requested for an autopsy. And now Dr. Nguyen, being the surgeon, I think the director of a hospital, and he was asked to conduct that autopsy, and he was compelled into twisting the fate of the autopsy results. But being a man of integrity and steadfast, he actually denied, and that costed him his job. Doc, I don't know if I misplaced a lot of facts, but for the sake of clarity, a lot of people are interested in this story now. And when they hear the story, we are looking at Dr. Nguyen, who has integrity. This is integrity at its peak for somebody of your caliber, who would not want to thwart their potentials, their integrity for anything in the world. How was that experience like for you?
Thank you very much. It was very traumatizing. Let's say that I went to CUS in Yaoundé, and I think I finished at 27, 28 or so. That's also when I got married. I worked in Fontem. You know Fontem? I do. Yeah, I worked in the Central Hospital in Yaoundé. At that time, there were very few GPs. In fact, my registration number on the doctor's medical rule, I think I'm 870 or something like that. Yeah, so you can, and I finished CUS in 1983. So talk about integrity, yes, because I went to this very beautiful school, CPC Bali, and we were well brought up. And you know, in CPC Bali at the time, you have your desk, you have you do your studies by yourself. You know, during practicals, you are working with the others. But during examinations, there was nothing like cartouche. It didn't exist. There was nothing like looking across at all your friends. No. So we grew up like that, where your yes was your yes. Yes, without your yes being with your yes being yes and no being no. There was no way yes could be no. I mean, that's the way we were brought up. Yes could never be no. And interestingly, I've grown with that, and a lot of people have nailed me in the sense that
you're so blunt.
Number one, I'm very blunt. Number two, if I have a deal with you, it's just a spoken word, and that's it. For instance, I remember selling two of my cars to two people. No paper. Oh, you're going to pay me this year, and then if they have never paid me a franc and they've gone. You understand? No paper, no nothing. I agree with you. The word is my word is my word. Your word is supposed to be your word, and that's it. It's not supposed to be a magistrate, a lawyer, or somebody who's no. So when I say yes, I try as hard as possible to make it a yes and make sure it's a yes and not a no. So now we are faced with this problem in Betua. I worked in Betua, and that was around 1992, thereabouts, 1992 going to 1993. That's when I was there. And interestingly, when I was sent to work in Betua, they had the old hospital, the old, that was kind of like run down. Then there was this new beautiful hospital that was built for about 3 billion by the Italians, beautiful one. So we transitioned from that old hospital to the new hospital, very beautiful thing. And I was the chief surgeon there. And you can imagine the East region. The East region is very big, but underpopulated. The region is the northwest, the southwest, the littoral, and west put together in terms of landmass. Go look at their map. And I was the only surgeon in that regional hospital. So this young man, Mr. Abondolangwe Louis, was working for some Canadians in a village called Ndiang. It's about 40 kilometers from Betua. And these Canadians, they came to the bank and took some money, around about 4 million francs, to pay their staff, and they brought that money to their place. And for some odd reason, this money was missing, and so they caught this guy, this Abondolangwe. They accused him, took him to the gendarmerie in Ndiang, and then of course he said he had not stolen the money, but he was beaten. He was locked up, beaten, and tortured. I don't know, I can't remember for how many days, until he died. And interestingly, the wife was also picked up. The wife had a baby, and then the wife was locked in the room next to the man's own, and she could hear the husband groaning, yes, until he died. The next morning, the cells were open, and so when the villagers learned that Abondolangwe Louis, that's his name, Abondolangwe Louis, had died, so they invaded the camp, and one of the gendarmes pulled out a gun and shot on Abondo's Langwe's brother, and the bullet entered one of the bones in the leg, the femur. I can't remember was the left or right, and then tracked down to the ankle, and of course, I never removed that bullet. It was there, and the body was brought to this hospital for an autopsy. Since I was this, it's not like they targeted me. It's just that I happened to be the surgeon there, and so I was asked to provide the autopsy, and this was by the gendarmerie captain of Lom and Jerem, as well as the SDO. They came to my office with the paperwork, say, autopsy for this Abondolangwe Louis, who was poisoned. They give me the lead. Yeah, they're only telling me what happened, who was poisoned. And I say, wow, okay, I was saying to that. Then As they left, one of the midwives who was working with me in the hospital, she came into my office crying. And I've forgotten her name. I said, "What's up? Why are you crying?" And then she tells me, "My brother has been killed." And I asked the story and she narrates it to me. I say, "Are you sure about that?" She says, "Yes." Then I get up from my seat to go to the autopsy and I go out. And what do I see? I feel like crying. I see villagers, poor people, looking for help. And so here I was,
Helpless.
the government on this side. I was not helpless. Here I was with the government on this side telling me a story, and here the villagers.
The villagers.
The villagers.
Pathetic villagers.
Yes, pathetic villagers. Are you seeing? So now, and this was during the Lent time. It was the Lent season, and at that moment, I remembered how we were going through the Stations of the Cross, praying about a certain Jesus who died for our sins. Are you seeing that? And so the question, interestingly, I have the ability to communicate with I don't know whether it's my spirit or the God spirit in me, but I can have a conversation. So the spirit asked me, "Why did Abondolangwe Louis die?" That's my spirit asking. Yes.
But you were not
but
there.
It is asking me. The spirit is like, why? Why did Abondolangwe Louis die?
That's for you to find the answer.
Yes. And the answer comes back to me. He died so that no other Cameroonian should die. Yeah. Very, very complex. I have to meditate. What does that mean? Yeah, he died. Just like Jesus Christ, he died so that no other one person should die again. Then I'm asking my question. I said, "What do you mean?" I'm asking the spirit. We're having a dialogue. He said, "If you speak the truth about how he died, the gendarmes who killed him would be so terrified and would be so punished, yeah, that no other gendarme or anybody would do the same kind of thing to another Cameroonian." That was the message. It's over. Mission terminé. I said, "Okay, I got it." From there on, it was about sticking to that truth and finding out the truth. Are you getting the intricacies? That's why we have to be we have to pay attention to our consciences and to this, we have to have some values, otherwise you will not get there. A lot of things will pass you by if you don't have those values. You would look at the suffering you are going to go through and then you would say, "I cannot do it." Now, at that material moment, I understood a lot of things. Because up until then, my wife was trying to join me from Bamenda. Even before then, I had been trying to leave Betua because I wasn't happy working there. And when that incident happened, and I knew why I was in Betua, and to tell you a little short story again, my wife had been trying to come with me, but she had a little baby who was running a very high temperature, so she could not come because of that temperature. And the other thing too, the other thing I was trying to remember, anyway, it might come. But this is it. Now I'm faced with a family that is weeping and a government that is telling me long stories.
Not just a family, I mean the village.
Yes, yes. And then it is my conscience, it is my future, it's my personality at risk. And then I remembered to become the surgeon who I was. Besides, that was 11 years of studies. Okay? That was 11 years of studies put in. And I'm looking at the captain. I said, "So you went to university, you did some 3 years, you went to military school, almost 4, you SDO, probably another 4, about 4 or 5, and you, just because you have the power, you want to tell me what to do with my pen?" I said, "It doesn't work like that." I said, "Okay, the power of the pen." So now, the power of the pen and the power of truth had to see the light. This is what happened. And I go to the mortuary and to look at the body, and I see the body of Abondolangwe Louis, and a very quick look, tells me he was killed because of the trauma marks I could see on him.
That's not your emotions playing on your verdict.
No, no, no.
You've seen through the lens of a surgeon.
Yes, I look and I see the trauma marks, whatever, you know, crushed testes, you know, all sorts of things that were not very healthy. So at that material moment, I knew I had trouble. I had to defend myself. I was going to speak the truth, and I would have to face the heat. So what do I do? And I was alone. Oh yes, this is what I wanted to tell you. Did you ever hear the story of one Chengwa Gandhi that was killed in Bamenda during the political violence in 1990? Chengwa Gandhi, he used to work with Mideno at the time. And interestingly, Chengwa Gandhi also went to CPC Bali, and he was just 1 year ahead of us. Okay? So it's somebody that we knew very well. And then his brother, who's of blessed memory now, Mr. Festus Chair, was the food master of the school. And you know, during when there was the political heat, I left with the presidential elections. Okay, that was around. You remember those 1992 presidential elections? Was it 92 or 93? I can't remember. 92. I left and I went to Bamenda. Okay, and here I am, and I go to the regional hospital. And I was. Do you know the hospital in Bamenda? Have you been? The regional hospital. Yes, you know that that accident place where the people are, the emergency. Okay, you probably don't know. So I'm walking in the corridor, the long corridor, and I see Mr. Festus Chair coming, and he's crying. So I approach him and say, "Sir, why are you crying? What happened?" And then he tells me, Gandhi has been killed. I say, "No, tell me about it." And then he narrates how he has been tortured and killed. And then I stood there. I didn't know what to tell him. I comforted him. I said, "Okay, sir, don't you bury him until the truth about who killed him and why they killed him is out before you bury him." That's all I said. That's the advice I gave him. And then, what do I do? Dr. Charles Awasum. Dr. Charles Awasum was the surgeon in Bamenda at the time, and we all studied together in Nairobi. He left from Sacred Heart. We were about kind of like classmates, but studying in different schools. But when he went to Nairobi, he was 1 year ahead of me. He went for training before me. And he was the surgeon in the regional hospital. So I went to Charles. I said, "Hey, Charles, you got a problem." He said, "What?" I said, "You see that guy, Chengwa Gandhi? He was killed. And I know that you can't handle it alone. So what you do is get all the doctors. So you go, you know, do that autopsy together and all signs so as to protect yourself with numbers." So that's what I told him. Yes, a one-man show. That's what I told him. That's the most I could do. So I left. Can you imagine? I leave now and go to Betua, and I face the problem. So can you imagine? I told someone else to do something, and here I'm faced with the same scenario. So I cannot do the contrary. I must do what I told him to do. But interestingly, this is the difference. While he was in Bamenda, in a different system with a lot of people protecting him, I was alone. I was alone. And the other doctors in the hospital were mocking at me. You know, then, because, I mean, they kind of like questioned me. And I said, "No, this is like that." They said, "Why are you taking the risk? The man is already dead anyway, so just write so that..." You see the way they reason. Oh, Dad. I looked at them and laughed. I said,
"Don't you think at this point it is because they want to save your head from, you know, an imminent calamity?"
No, it's just that...
Your place between the gun and the truth.
It's just that we are trained in different systems, and we are brought up differently. Some people will sell their soul for beans. You understand what I'm saying? But here I'm faced with, yes, the man is dead, yes, but somebody must be punished for his death. And other people should not die similar deaths. It was a mission. It was not about me at that material moment. You know, as far as I was concerned, job or no job, I couldn't care. You see the point. So that was the... So now when I go and I notice that, then I realize I was in some deep shit. So now I go back. I go back to the DO's office, and I think I talked to the Secretary General or the governor. I said, "See, this guy has been killed." Even before before carrying out the autopsy, you know, in detail, this guy has been killed. So I went to the SDO's office. I invited him and the gendarme to come back. So that's how the autopsy was done. And when I got my report out, the photographer who had filmed the thing, when he went to town and developed the films and so on, so news got out, and the gendarmes clamped on him and seized the negatives. And what was the other thing? But interestingly, he ran and gave me the pictures. So what I did was to quickly resnap the pictures. You see that? And then, so I wrote my first report. And I sent the report to the gendarmes without the pictures, detailing that he was killed. My concluding statement, he was killed. And so a first query came from the director of the hospital. I answered the query. The same day, another query. I answered that one. Then the next day, a third query. Okay? And then I answered the query, if you think I'm not fit to be a doctor, so be it. That was it. And so I was summarily dismissed from the hospital. And I was living alone in one house. That night I was afraid I would be killed, so I sang all night. I prayed all night. And the next day, there was one gentleman who was working for Sonel. He helped me and fueled my car. I had a white Mercedes V-Boot at the time. A V-Boot I had bought in the UK for myself as a gift to myself for the work I was doing. So I had an apartment. I left the curtains as they were, gas cookers, pots, everything. All I took was my books and my musical set I put in the car, and I was driving around as if nothing had happened. That was around 8 o'clock. I had wanted to go there every evening when I was dismissed, and this friend of mine said, don't go because somebody can kill you in the forest there and say you have run to Central African Republic. So go during the day. Even what is happening to you might be a bird will see. So I took that advice. And in the morning, I took the car and drove around town, just like Dr. Ngasa used to do, very slowly, and everybody saw me. And then I now took out the road from Betua, the Abombang Road. So I leave Betua town and I turn around the corner where there was the gendarme control. I thought they would stop me. They just greeted and so on, greeted. So I bypassed them, went around the corner. When they couldn't see me, I went away at full speed. Then when I was getting to Abombang, I slowed again, went through the gendarmes until I got to Yaoundé. Nobody disturbed me. I went to stay with my uncle in Messa, then left, went to... After that, I went and saw Professor Dr. Fogwe of the Human Rights to tell him what had happened, and I gave him all the information. And then I saw Professor Nomangu too. I gave him all the information. And then, but even before I had sent them the information, by phone. I kept telling them what was happening to me. And Professor Nomangu said, "Stay the course. Whatever happens, keep to your truth." Yeah. And so, when I came to see Dr. Ngu about it, I had lost my job, so to speak, as far as I was concerned, it was over with the civil service. And what did Professor Ngu tell me? He said, look at me. I've been one of the most senior, of course, he had been a minister. I've been a very senior civil servant, but what do I have to show? So the civil service is not even something to bother about. Let it go. So I turned my back on the civil service, and that was it. Let it go.
Till today?
Yeah, let it go. That was it. Bye-bye. And then he said, I want you to go and build a hospital that I've never built. I had wanted to build a hospital. Go build that hospital. Then I asked him, Prof, how am I going to build that hospital when the government is hostile towards me? Who's going to give me the authorization? And then he says, go build it. Then I look at him. Then I asked myself, if I put in my papers and any Tom, Dick, or Harry sits on them and Professor Nomangu shows up and say, where are the papers? You're not going to sit on those papers. So I believed him. I said, yes, sir, I'm going to do it. As soon as I said, yes, sir, then he gave another condition. Build a hospital where you'll be secure. If you like building in the northwest or the southwest, if you want to build in the southwest, I will give you land. You see that land? You see that land above Plantecam?
Yes.
Yeah, that flat place. That's Professor Nomango was going to give it to me to build on it if I wanted to. So I said, no, I'll do it in Bamenda. He said, God bless you. And he reached out into his pocket, looked in through his wallet, and the only money he had in his purse was 2,000 francs note. He removed it and said, take. Don't look at the value. Don't look at the monetary value. Look at the spirit behind it. Take this money. I took it. And I kept that note so much. When I went home, I laminated it so I would never lose it. But I don't know who stole that thing from me because it was a treasure. You see that? So that is how my life was.
When you were out of cash, you would deliberately not use that money.
It was laminated so it would never be used. You know what I mean by laminated? Sealed in plastic. Condemned. It will never be used, but somebody stole it. It was a treasure. Now, I went to what do you call him? Dr. Fogwe's office. He was in charge of human rights at the time, and we went over everything, and he prayed for me, and he gave me some. We read Psalm 139 together, and where he says, God knew you before you were formed in your mother's womb. Okay. And said me other things. So basically that was it. He strengthened my spirit, and that's how I left. Incidentally, subsequent to that, I was called to the disciplinary council of the medical doctors in Cameroon, and I was also called to the disciplinary council of the public service. And what happened in the meantime was, I don't know what I came to do in the ministry. And one young medical doctor who left, who was junior to me, he was the director of human personnel there. He saw me in the corridor and he said, "Qu'est-ce que vous faites ici? Vous avez faux rapport médicaux là." I looked at him, I shook my head, I said, "God bless you." You see? And then when I went to the disciplinary council of the medical board, there was late Professor Esomba was the president at the time. And then later, Dr. Muna of the Muna Clinic, he was the president of the medical council. And then his brother, Dr. Wali Muna, was also a member. So these are the three people who heard my story. And interestingly, at the time when they were hearing my story, there was also a problem that had brewed in the University of Yaoundé, where a student was burned or killed or something like that, and his pictures had gone out. So Professor Esomba said, you have been accused of using the pictures for political ends, for political reasons. I said, no, I didn't do that. But in any case, at the end of the day, we made peace. So Professor Esomba tells me, but the Munas defended me. And interestingly too, Professor Esomba was telling me, oh, you have to do this because we can write you off the medical board. You will not be, yes, you will not be able to practice. And I was laughing because I had just come from the UK, and even though I had the problems, I had sent information to my professors in the UK, and they were ready to come and defend me. Oh, wow. Yes. So when he was saying that if we write you off, you will never be, I was laughing because I had just left a job in the UK and came and they would have taken me back comfortably, and I would walk. That would have the end of the story. So I was laughing at them. I said, you can't do anything to me. And it's a long story, right? But you wanted to hear it. So now, what was the compromise? Okay, you go. Government will post you back, give you back your job. You will go and work in the hospital in Kumba. I don't know what hospital. I think there's a hospital in Kumba, right? The government hospital in Kumba. So I was posted.
Now Kumba Regional Hospital.
Yeah, I think so.
Kumba District.
Yes. So I was posted. That's readmitted into the civil service and posted to the regional hospital in Kumba. And after my conversation with Professor Nomango, I knew I was done with the civil service. So right there and then I told him that I was not going. So it is the Munas who advised me, show some sign of respect them, go. So I said, okay, I will go, no big deal. So I go now to the ministry. take my posting, my letter that was posting me to the hospital. I and my wife, we drove. I didn't know I didn't know where Kumba was, but we drove up to Kumba. I got to the hospital, you know, went to the director's office. I said, hey, I'm your staff. Can you give me a letter that I've resumed duty? So he does the letter. I take the letter, put it in my pocket, and I've never gone back anywhere there. That was end of story. Okay, that was straight with the public service. So I go and I stay in Bamenda, and my salary was cut. I had no money, but I was living with my wife's elder sister and her husband, the Mulus, on Foncho Street, and they were so kind enough. They fed us. You know, I had nothing. They fed us and looked after us.
Why did you not, at this point, go back?
Where?
To where were you from at that time?
The UK.
Yeah, from the UK. Why did you not go back to the UK?
Interestingly, before my posting, I had come from the UK and stayed in the house for a very long time before I got posted to the east, and I had been trained. I'd been trained to work for Cameroonians, not to work for the people in the UK. You see that I was trained to work for Cameroonians. And coming as a urologist, the new hospital in General Hospital in Douala was just newly built. There was a post for urologists that would not be posted there. They kept it waiting for people with the right blood to come and take it. So, and interestingly too, something that made me laugh was the Minister of Health at that time. He went up to the north to receive something from the Lions that cost 2 million francs, and if you knew the salary that I was paid during that time that I was not posted, you know, was not really me, but what doctors and other people were earning as money for work not done, just because of the bad administration. That was so much. Then instead of just writing, you know, to post people so they can go and work, you are going around flying all over the hoop and wasting money. Anyway, that was an anecdote. But the bottom line is, I sat in Bamenda, and my authorization to open the clinic came. And when it came, I had no money on me. I took that paper, and that empowered me. Now I had no money. I had only my white Mercedes car. So I took this white Mercedes car to some of the rich people in Bamenda. I said, please, can you just take this car and keep it as security? Give me some money. I want to go to Nigeria and buy some things and come and start a clinic. And nobody would help me, except for one person, Mr. Incho. Mr. Incho was a big businessman in Bamenda. I've forgotten the name of his business. So, and he was a family friend of the Mulus. So he accepted to help me, and he asked me, do you have a bank account? I said no. He said, go and open a bank account with BSEC. So my sister-in-law gives me 15,000 francs. So I go and I open a bank account at BSEC in my name. And Mr. Ancho goes to see the bank manager, and they credit my account with 5 million francs, okay, as a loan. But he didn't take my car. So he says, keep your car. When you have the money, give it back to me. So I take that money and I meet some of my friends, Mr. John Odemba and the family. They're from Onitsha. So I tell them I want to go to Onitsha and buy medical equipment. So they organize, and then with one Igbo boy, I travel through Mamfe, Ekok, and you know, and I go to Onitsha, and I stay with them, and I go to Onitsha Head Bridge to buy the at least some necessary things.
The rest is history.
Yeah. Then I rent a place on Foncho Street behind PNEU, and I start the new clinic there. I make my wooden beds, and that's how St. Louis was born. So now St. Louis. So when you hear St. Louis, Louis is not my name. Louis is that guy who was killed in Betwa. So everything.
Ooh.
Yes.
Ooh. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. So
Wow.
everything I do is Louis. So you see. So now people now can understand why they St. Louis. So it is that spirit. Okay. Thank you.
It has been an emotional moment, not just for me, but for my guests. And we have seen the integral part, the integrity, the sense of integrity from Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. And I know that this is going to put a lot of curiosity to rest. For those of you asking how St. Louis was born, I know it is paying homage to the fallen hero, Louis. and the rest is history. At this point in time, ladies and gentlemen, we get on a jingle break. I think we need to cool off. And when we come back, then of course, we are going to be delving even deeper to the political side of Dr. Ningwana, who started with the SDF and then migrated to the CPDM. We are going to be asking the raison d'etre and, you know, a cocktail of different political parties and how he's been able to blend or, you know, to double his ways between these two giant political parties. Don't go anywhere. I'm still your host, Mabel Camden, and I'm still in the company of Dr. Nick Ngwana. Thank you so much. Welcome back, televiewers. I'm having an exceptional time in the studio, and I know that you all tuned to this program are having an amazing ride with my guest, Dr. Ningwana, as well. I mean, we have had a blend, a myriad of his childhood experiences, and we have seen how a little seed can metamorphose into a very thick forest. And of course, that is Dr. Nick himself. You know, looking at his childhood and his experiences within the civil service, I think it is but necessary that we get to talk with the, you know, address his side that has to do with being the CPDM bigwig. And he did not just get into the CPDM like that. He started with the SDF and then later on, you know, changed his mind at a certain point within his political journey and got into the corridors of the ruling party. Dr. Nick, there's a side of you. We see you on WhatsApp groups, on the internet. You are a great advocate. Likewise, you are that daring CPDM sympathizer who would tell them face to face, eyeball to eyeball, their shenanigans. How do you get, you know, to develop the lever telling the CPDM which you're so much rooting for where they err and where they are not supposed to?
Thank you very much. This is it. I'm 67 years old now. You know, there comes a time in your life when you either tell the, you know that only the truth sets us free. That's the bottom line. Only the truth sets us free, you know. And you have to live according to values. When I was going to the CPDM, I didn't go into the CPDM because I thought they were angels. No. It's a long story. I would tell you how I became part of that CPDM and why I was there. I'm there for a mission. I'm not just there, you know, to go around clapping hands and singing. No. I'm there for a mission. I'll tell you the mission. When I tell you, probably you would understand why I behave the way I do. You know, because you always have to, why do you behave the way you do? Don't just live for the sake of living, no. And if you want to die, die for something. Don't just die, no. No, don't die for the sake of dying. Die for something worth its salt. Now, before I even delve into that, I told you I had 4 mentors and they're all gone. I mentioned Dr. Fogwe, right? And I mentioned the cardinal. Did I mention the cardinal? Okay, I'll tell you where the cardinal comes in. Okay, just keep in mind the cardinal. And then Professor Anomangu, and then Bishop Vedzekov. These are my 4 mentors. Yes. When I was in trouble, these are the 4 people who kept me afloat. Yeah. And then Bishop Vedzekov organized that in the Bamenda Archdiocese. They were praying for me all the time. And he wrote a letter to me, encouraging me. So I had the inner strength. So you always have to have this kind of support. That's what drives you forward. You know who is backing you. Now, and I knew that the country was in trouble, and probably if another party came into power, they might be able to correct things. So that's why I joined the SDF, you know, to try to see whether through the SDF we could correct certain things. And things went the way they were. But interestingly, I had a broader vision of what should be happening. Because to all the problems that we have in life, you'll be surprised, like I was mentioning to you off camera. Problems can look very complex sometimes, but their solutions are very, very simple. And if you take time off to observe nature, you will see the answers to the many complex problems that are bugging you. And
give a glaring example of a thread intertwined.
Yes, yes. So you see, the political party, I mean the political scenario at the time was the SDF fighting being confrontational with the CPDM. Are you seeing that? It was confrontation. It was a boxing match. But to me, the way to do it was not a boxing match. No, no. In my spirit, God has shown me how best to do it. You are not old enough to remember, but in my days in secondary school, we had this piece of instrument that we used in our mathematical class. It was called the slide rule. Okay, it was like two rulers. You'll be sliding one ruler inside the other with something called a cursor to use it to solve problems. So I could see the principle of the slide rule: slide in, slide out. And I also saw a good example from the church. I'm sure you've been to church, to mass or to worship, and the church is full and the benches are full, right? But do you know that you can still find yourself a seat even when the benches are full? How do you do it?
You need to ask somebody to shift.
Yes, so you come in, the bench is full, fair enough. You perch by the edge, you put just one buttock, okay, on the bench. And then when they stand up for prayers, you adjust. you understand? And then before long, you are sitting comfortably, and the other people are the ones that are leaning forward. That is how you take power. And this was the philosophy of the thing. We accepted that the government was not doing well, and the government is made up of civil servants. And the approach of the SDF was brutal. But you realize that the way the country is supposed to function is like this hotel that we are looking at here. You know, you cannot, probably you want to build another hotel, maybe you can come and break this hotel and then build a new one. That's with physical things. But with human beings, you cannot go out there because you have taken power as the SDF and kill all civil servants. You are not going to send all of them away. You are going to work with the same rotten blocks. Are you seeing the difference now? So how are you going to build with the rotten blocks? So it cannot be that confrontational. And I was thinking, you know, come in there, be part of that government. That's that slide in, slide rule. And then look for the position of prime minister, for instance, because there was a lot of difficulty at the time, you know, after the elections. Go in a coalition government or something. Get the position of prime minister, because also the Spirit had told me something, that John Frundi is John the Baptist, not the Christ. Which means, yes, he has done that, but he's not going to be the president. He paved the way. And what happened was that God had also shown him the land of glory and kept it away. So he was overcarried by that land of glory, but didn't know the strategies how to get there.
Are you saying that you left or you aborted the SDF because you feel lack of strategy?
Yes, lack of strategy. Yes, lack of strategy. Yeah, lack of strategy. I'll show you. So now, and I wrote a 4-page. I typed on my computer. And I printed only 4 copies because it was a very dangerous letter that I wrote, stating what the SDF should do. I gave one copy. To the chairman himself. Yes. Then, because the things I wrote there were too strong, and I realized that the chairman could come after my jugular, he would be very angry with me. So I gave a copy to the Archbishop, because I read there. I said, if you are angry with me, first go and check with the Archbishop whether I'm wrong. Then I gave a copy to my in-law, Dr. G. Then I kept a copy, all right? And in it, I was trying to show the navigation strategies. And I said, I told him these things. And he was very angry with me. Then I said, you will not be the president, but do this, do this, do this, do this. So that's how I was kicked out of the SDF. Because now, when I did that and they were angry, I withdrew and sat quietly. Then somewhere along the line, they were trying to revitalize the energies again with the other elections that were coming up. So this,
we needed this time around.
Yes, and so this was what was happening. You went out with a bulldozer to do a job, and the engine died out on you. And then what you are saying is that we should do the same thing again and use the same bulldozer. I said, no, you're going to use brains, be smart. And I said, you be smart, you didn't. So the bulldozer technique, I'm not there. You understand? That's how, and I now joined the civil society.
Which leads me to the question. Now, if you were unable to tarry in changing the mindset of the SDF, or, you know, to make a revolution, and now you are coming into the CPDM where it's believed to be more cumbersome. How do you think you're going to walk away out?
All right? That's where the cardinal comes in. So, I'm sitting in my, I'm in my bed. I'm in my bed, I'm living in Foncha Street, and I have this vision. I have this vision, and I have this vision in which God tells me about politics. You understand? To do something, to correct something. That was in 2003. And then I will not tell you what the Spirit told me. So I take my phone and call the cathedral to tell them I want to come see the cardinal and have a chat with him. So the secretary tells me he's out on mission. I say, whatever the case, I'm coming. It doesn't matter where he is, I will wait. Even if he's in any mission, I can go there and talk with him. So I take my car and drive to purposely come and see the cardinal. I come to see the cardinal. I told him what the Spirit told me. He said, no problem, go back. I'm coming for holidays in a few weeks' time. I will see you when I'm in Bamenda. So when on passing on his way to Kumbu, he stops at St. Louis and in the hospital in Bamenda and sees me in my office, and we have a chat. That's the cardinal. After that, he goes to see the first-year students in one of the halls, okay? And it is on that day that he taught me the 6 principles of success, I and my students. That might have been 12 years ago, I can't remember. The cardinal taught us, that's in around 2003. 1, what are the six cardinal principles for success? Like work. So we came into the hall and he was giving this advice to the students, and I was also learning just like the students. Number 1, like work. Number 2, like work that is well done. Number 3, have intellectual honesty, that's be truthful. Number 4, have self-discipline. Number 5, pray. Number 6, respect the environment, Mother Earth. These are the principles for success.
And prayer in all of this did not feature first.
No. He was just naming them. He was just naming them. But I retained them in the order in which he taught. Number 3 is the prayer. Okay? And you must like work and you must pray. You must be honest and you must be truthful and you must be self-disciplined. It's a package. You can't have one and leave the other. So now, that's how I've been working. To cut the long story short, I continue to work on the principles that he told me on that day. Then something happened in 2008. 2008, you remember President Obama was the president-elect. He just won.
Yes.
But he had not yet been sworn in. He just won. And this is December. He won in November. And here is December 2008. And we are 36 of us going to America in Washington on an American business mission with the U.S. Embassy. All right, we were just 4 Anglophones, a couple of Betis, a handful of Betis, a handful of Nordis, the rest Bamilikis, as you would know. So I stopped by the cardinal's office to tell him I'm going to America. We talk over a couple of things, and then I am about to leave, and that's when the miracle happens. So it's just about a few minutes for me to leave, and then I say, by the way, you know, like that kind of by the way kind of thing. I said, by the way, Obama just won the presidential elections in America. What is in that for us Africans? How do we relate with that? How can he help us? How does that help us in any way? And he now opens another chapter in my life, and that's what so the things that you are seeing about me now came from there, from that meeting and that interview and from that moment. And he taught me a couple of lessons that day. Number 1, Obama won not because he is strong. He's not you understand? He won because he is on, of course, let me take he has won because he is on a platform. Okay? And what was the platform? The platform of the Democrats. So when you win like the SDF won, it's not because Nifrundi is strong. No, it's the SDF that won. It's all those people around you, all those political parties, whether you won or you didn't. It is those people. It's not you. When you make it a you thing, you will fail. And that's the mistake that Frundi made. Are you getting the point? To think it is you. And with that mistake, that's why he was sending away all that intelligentsia, because all the time it was about him. But it's teamwork. So teamwork is what wins. It's not...
So how does this apply to you being a staunch and an ardent follower of the CPDM?
I'm coming to that. You will see where it ties in. So now, that's the first lesson I learned, right? So I said, okay. Then I tell the cardinal, I'm in the civil service now. I'm not in civil society. So what exactly are we going to do to change Cameroon? How can we change Cameroon? And he says, it's only through politics. It's only through politics, because it's politics that controls everything. Then I asked him, but I'm in the civil society. Don't you think that if the civil society works very hard, they can change it? And his answer baffled me. It was a blatant no. Do whatever you like in the civil service, you cannot change it.
Until you're involved
in politics. You see, it was very clear about that. Then I'm looking at him. I said, okay, next question. But I was in the SDF and I thought that they had no understanding of what to do. And so, and then the CPDM is a very dirty place. So if I really want this change, what do you want me to do? He said, go and join politics. I said, okay, tell me, should I go back to the SDF or the CPDM? He said, anyone. I said, what do you mean by anyone? He says, then he teaches me another lesson. He says, go and look at their manifestos. None of them says they are bad. So it is the people that are bad, it's not the party. Are you seeing the first lesson? So the CPDM...
So you don't think that the party injects or infiltrates the interests of the people somehow?
No, but listen to the lessons first. He tells me the CPDM is not bad. It is the people in the CPDM that are bad. Are you getting what I'm saying? The SDF is not bad. It's the people in the SDF that are bad. So it is the wheat and the weed. You cannot run away from them. Are you getting me? So now then he points himself. Look, he said, if I were not a prelate, I would have gone into that politics. I look at him and say, he says yes. So you go there and do it for me. I say, okay. So between the SDF and say, choose any. It's at that material moment I sit and I reflect. I say, okay, to change this politics and change what is happening, you must deal with the person who has the power. Are you getting me? The person who has the yam and the knife. The SDF, you don't have the yam and the knife. The CPDM, you have the yam and the knife.
How so, Doc? How so? How would you say you have the yam and the knife with the CPDM?
No. Understand the concept of the yam and the knife. The yam and the knife is the power. Are you getting me? And the knife is the one that is cutting the yam, sharing the cake, doing all those things. Okay. Governing. Are you saying? So it's philosophical. Okay. So I am going to go into the CPDM.
Because they have the influence.
Yes. They have the yam and the knife, and I would direct in what direction the knife cuts. I don't know what you're getting. I would try to twist the system and get the knife to cut in the right direction.
That's where it gets a little bit complex. Yes. Because a lot of people think that, you know, politics is a game of interest. We cannot deny that, Dr. Nick.
So it's a game of interest in the sense that you cannot ask, what was your interest in it? My interest was going in there and directing the knife to cut.
No, but we have had testimonies of people who say they want to get into a system and they get immersed in the system and corrupted.
We'll talk about that. You see all these 365, 67 political parties, all of them are liars. I would explain to you.
But for the CPD and the SDF?
No, everybody is one big pot. It's just a pot of liars. Everybody is looking for something to eat. They're looking for work. You understand? That's why I don't believe in any of them. So now we are preaching a new philosophy. If you have been listening to me, it's a new philosophy, and I baptize this progressive CPDM. You understand? It is that new philosophy that would lead us through the jungle into a place of baptism.
So most people will think that maybe you are fanning the ego and giving, you know,
whose ego?
The CPDM's ego.
No, if I'm fanning by the ego, then how comes I'm so hard with them? At the same time, they say I'm very hard, and at the same time, they say I'm fanning the ego. So you see the point? Is that not contradictory? How can you say that I don't sound like a CPDM. I bash them a lot. Yet at the same time,
Social media may think that you are a propagandist for the CPDM.
now I will show you the interesting part. It is when you understand values and philosophy, and then you understand human nature, that you can know how to walk with the devils. Are you getting it? Yes, you have to be able to walk with the angels and the devils alike and stay alive. Because whatever happens, a cat that is alive is better than the lion that is dead. So you have to use wisdom. Now, back Anumutong. So what happens? As I'm leaving more lessons from the cardinal. The cardinal says, and when I'm talking with the cardinal, he says, good Christians and good Muslims, and it's the same, I'm sharing this with the public, good Christians and good Muslims must join politics.
Good, emphasis
On good. Good Christians and good Muslims must join politics and change things from the inside. That's the homework. You don't leave it in the hands of just about any to do what they want. No, it must now be intentional, where Christians, good Christians and good Muslims go to that dirty house.
But Dr. Nick, I think that there is this question that has been on my chest, lingering, and looking at you face to face. Would you say your iota of influence is going to make or cause that change in the ocean of complexity?
Yes, and it's going to be very easy. Have you ever, I'm sure, are you a Catholic?
I am.
Okay, I think that was Saturday night, breaking Easter Sunday, when the lights went out in the cathedral or in the church, you remember it was all dark, right? And then the first candle came in. Did you see that first candle? And then the second candle, and there was light in the church, right? So it can be as dark as anything, pitch dark, show up with the first candle and the darkness goes. That's how it works. Are you getting me? Truth. One person speaking the truth is more than millions of people telling lies. Never forget that. The truth is the most powerful thing that you could deal with. So even when you are walking alone in truth, you are not the loser. You are the boss. One person carrying the truth is the boss. Know that you are the man of strength. When this truth resides in you, you are the boss. Never let the devil take that away from you. Once you keep that.
Truth is not in numbers.
No, truth is not in numbers. Truth, the power of the truth is the truth itself. Because the truth knocks out the darkness. It doesn't matter how dark it is, show up with truth and it's gone. And people who are dark run away from the truth. So that's the thing, that's the weapon.
How long is it going to take you to effect this change within the alleged corrupt party system that
God does things in ways that man cannot see. You understand? And God flips things like this. The most important thing is keep doing what God has asked you to do. Don't ask when, how, and so on. It's not in your power. But when He says go, you go.
Would you agree with me that there have been people who have, come out to be so strong and to reflect the image of the Messiah coming to change things within the CPDM?
Yeah.
Now, what different aura do you carry?
No. See, you've heard of people who came and were preaching the progressive CPDM before, right? But there are some lessons that I will share with you that they don't have. And that's where they made a mistake. You cannot, and people try to accuse me about that. You say, cannot put new wine in old wine skins. You understand? So you must, but they also fail to realize that, you know the parable of the wheat and the weed, they must grow together, right? So you are the light, and that comes back to the other lesson that the cardinal took. You are the light and the salt of the earth.
And you're the city built upon
Yes,
the hill.
and a city built cannot be hidden. Nobody lights a lamp and puts it under the bed. Are you getting me? So my lamp has been lighted and it cannot sit under the bed. That's why I'm so vocal. It sits on the top of the city, of the hill. And it's not about me. You see, as I keep preaching and talking, whether I get there or never, the youths are learning, right? Just like you and I will quote Dr. Fondon today. Yeah, I want to also be quoted tomorrow. Yeah, it's not about what did you live and die for. That's what it's all about. And you can sow the right seed that would bring solace to many people. See Touare, the president of Burkina Faso. He's 33 years old, right? Sankara was killed when he was just a few years old, maybe 3 years old. You get the point. But the message of Sankara echoes in his mind and is what is driving the nation today. So this is it. How did God create the earth? Do you know how God created the earth? He spoke the word. And we are co-creators with God. And God expects us to do what? Speak the word. So what am I doing? When I'm speaking that word, I'm recreating Cameroon. I'm recreating the world.
But so many people have spoken those words, including myself. But what impacts and what change?
Yeah, it depends on how you speak the word. When you speak the word, act the word, live the word. Are you getting me? You cannot speak the word and not work. Are you getting what I'm saying? So when you speak the word, then you go out into the fields and plant the field. You must speak the word and work. When people see you, what you speak should match with what you are doing. That's the difference. And that's where these other politicians are failing. They promise things and are doing nothing. Are you seeing that? So they just talk for the sake of talking, but they don't have anything as evidence to show for their talk. So somebody says, I want to be this, I want things to change that, but you look at their lives, their family lives, and what he has done in his career, you see nothing which tells you that he's a worker. Are you getting me? So you can't convince people with that. So your life, your private life, your public life, what you say and so on, but we are all sinners. I have my sins. But you must be seen to be going somewhere which is concrete, a path that people can follow. That's where the difference comes.
Talking about a path where people can follow, now you are carving a path for yourself. Is this path going to end you with picking a tip-top position within government, or just staying in the background and, you know, coordinating the arm so that the knife cuts the yam in specific shapes?
It does not matter. It does not matter where you belong. Continue to speak the word that God has put in your mind. Whatever he calls you to do, if he calls you to be a sweeper, be a good sweeper, that's all. But the most important thing is what is creative is the word. So, but what he asks you to do physically with your hands, when you have a chance to do it well. But the word that you speak is much stronger. Are you getting me? It's much stronger. And I cannot tell you what the word is doing now. The word is doing a lot. The word is doing a lot. If we had time, I will show you how the word is working, and you'll see that it cuts sharper than a double-edged sword. Okay. Yeah, the word is very strong. So that is the key. So now I leave the cardinal's office equipped. Oh, by the way, so he said you must join politics. I said, but what is politics? That's when he defines politics to me. Politics is made up of two things, A and B. So join the politics and be part of making the right policies. So part A of politics is making the right policies.
But all of our political movements have right policies, don't they?
I mean, the right policies now will be the laws and all whatnot. Are you getting what? Make sure the laws are just laws. Are you getting me? Then the second part of that politics is make sure they are implemented to the letter. So if you look at the Cameroonian situation, the laws are not bad, but the implementation is wrong.
So the A is stable, but the B is absent.
Because there are some people who are above the law. Are you getting what I'm saying? If Cameroon, if what is written in paper about Cameroon were being implemented to the letter and follow, Cameroon would be the best country in the world. So you see, we are failing in B. We talk a lot from morning to evening, but nobody is doing anything. And that's why the 367 political parties, because it just bub. And you would think that if you change Paul with John, it will work. No, it will not work, because there's something else that is missing. You remember before we started, I was telling you about the tripod with its three, which is where now I have that extra edge. How do things function? How does the world function? The world runs on three things: politics, economics, and development. It is these three things. So the world again is like a fan with three blades, and we can write, for the sake of experiment, we can write a big poster and paste on one of the blades which says what? Politics, and the other blade which says economics, and the third blade which says development. Now, just like we define politics, economics also has two parts to it, development has two parts to it, and we must understand them. So what is in economics? If I ask you what is economics, you can say all sorts of things, but it's simply defined as two things. How do you earn money? how do you spend it? That's economics. So do you do it efficiently? How do you earn money? And how do you spend it? That's economics. And when it comes to that, Cameroon does not know economics. That's our problem. And development. What is development? Two parts. Part A, development is the physical things that we see and not see, things that are physical in nature. It will be we are in a hotel here, it would be the houses, the telephone lines, the electricity, the ships and boats that we are seeing, the cars, the aeroplanes, the internet, all these things that you can see, feel and touch or use.
Now that you are here, maybe it's time for me to look at your perspective for the 2035 emergence.
Yeah.
Since we are at the level of development, do you
Yes.
think
Yeah.
we are making progress
Yeah.
as far as the progressive CPDM is concerned,
Okay, let me
driving us towards
let me-
emergence?
let me just throw in this one for the sake of our listeners so that the children who are listening to me or the parents, everybody gets complete. So we said development is two parts, right? The development, name them. You know, so if you go to Dubai, their physical structures are better than us, but all of it is physical. But Dubai has something that we don't have. It's the human capacity development. Do you see that? So when you are talking of development, part A is physical, part 2 is intelligence, gray matter. You understand what I mean by gray matter now? Capacity. Ingenuity, creativity, innovation, technology, capacity to make things happen. That capacity, that human development capacity is what Cameroon doesn't have, is what Africa doesn't have. And that's why blacks and Indians and everybody laugh at us. We don't have capacity. So we have 12 state universities, 477. The question is, where is the capacity? We are studying the wrong things.
So what can be done differently?
Did I say we are studying the wrong things? That is the problem. So we are graduating a lot of people with PhDs, masters and so on, but in the wrong things, doing the wrong things and so on. That is the problem. And we think that because we have 1,001 PhDs or the different types we failed big time.
But we had President Biya in his end of the nation address, our state of the nation address,
Yes.
always empowering young people to excel within
Yes.
the space of skill acquisition and entrepreneurship.
Good. That is the problem, and that's where we are failing because we didn't have the right foundations. And that is the key. That is the key. You understand? So our education, now by the way, we mentioned the three things now. So the three buttress roots of the eucalyptus tree. One of them is politics, the other economics, and the third one is development. But then we have a taproot, which is very long and embedded in the earth, is education. Yes, it goes deep. That's what anchors the tree. It's not even the buttress tree. It's education. So when your education is not good, the tree will not do well. Are you getting me? And so now the question is, in what ways has our education failed? Our education lacks skills. We don't teach our children to have creative thinking. They just go to school, we get them to cram and recite, and we give them A grades and what. That is the thing. And we confuse the A grades with capacity.
What difference is St. Louis making?
St. Louis is trying to bring in that capacity and infuse it into young people and that have grown in a system that did not understand capacity. So sometimes it's a fight. Are you getting me? And to infuse it into them, it comes with discipline. You cannot get it if you are not disciplined.
So what extra thing is added into their curriculum?
It's the practicals. It's the practical, the capacity to think, to be rational, answer why you are doing what you are doing, and use your hands to achieve things. That's why we have had the School of Agriculture that started in Colbison up to Changi and so on, train all sorts of agri-engineers, but we still import rice. Are you getting it? Because the practical aspect of it is lacking. So the question is, how can you have been training agricultural engineers for years and you are still not so food sufficient? What went wrong? Why do we have to import wheat? What went wrong? So it is those questions. What went wrong? When we answer those questions, we'll be on the path to emergence. Are you not seeing where it ties in now? So what makes me as a politician different from the others? What gives me my versatility is because I understand all these components and how it is the 80% that allows me to understand this one. So just being a doctor, I would have just been, no. Borné, tunnel vision. But in fact, when I got to 50, I hung my jacket as a medical doctor. And I said there was more for me to do in these other areas to wake up the whole nation. And it's just unfortunate because if being a medical doctor or a surgeon was something like this jacket I'm wearing, I would have removed it and looked for a young man, a young boy, a young girl and say, take a gift. You understand what I'm saying? But it's something in my moral, I can't give it to you. I can only teach you to be. But if it was something that I could just hand it over like a parcel, I would remove it and say, hey, please, help yourself. You understand what I'm saying? So now, we get to a place now where we, probably I can now begin to tie a couple of things and then you say, for how long has President Paul Biya been talking of emergence 2035? It probably is 10 years. Yeah. But the question is, what is happening? What do you see in our environment?
Development.
Yeah, so where's the development? For instance, we are here in Limbe. When I was in university, the botanical garden was the come and see, was the best place, and this Limbe River was very clean. But you see how dirty it is? It's all grass. Children who are born today don't know that. They don't know that that's how. Yeah, there was a touristic site. They think that it's supposed to just be grass. No, it was very beautiful. And the other day, a week ago, I was here. You know, there's a tennis court as you get into this Atlantic Beach Hotel. And you see other susum that is growing all over that place. It used to be beautiful lawns. But fortunately, when I came last week, when I was here last week, the grass was as tall as this. But coming today, I seen that somebody has whacked down you know. But we have degenerated. We have degenerated. We are not advancing.
What does emergence mean to you, Doc?
Emergence?
Because to me, I think emergence is when a country is making stride as far as, you know, economic developmental progress is concerned.
Yeah, this is it. And the question is, whatever definition you give to it, what have you done ever since the president said so, that when we get to 2035, we'll see the emergence? The problem is this. There are so many directors, ministers, and all one. Call them and ask them, give them a test. What is emergence 2035? Nobody will tell you. Might be they are understanding it now because of, they will not tell you. You see, but one thing we don't understand about a leader like President Paul Biya, or any leader for that matter, a leader is not the one who is supposed to be running around doing everything. A leader kind of canalizes energies and gives the nation a vision. I say, we are going to run the race from Douala to Limbe. That's a vision. And then everybody begins to prepare for the race and gets into the race. So Biya says, let us run the race from Douala to Limbe. That is the race of emergence. But everybody sits and they're waiting, thinking that when 2035 comes, Paul Biya would enter his office and sign a decree to say, we have arrived at 2035. No, it doesn't work like that. You understand what I'm saying? Emergence it comes from action. It doesn't come from a decree. You cannot decree emergence. No, I cannot. Your father cannot decree salvation for you. You have to work for your salvation. Emergence is the same thing. You understand? And also, I try to. You know, Dangote is a very rich man. You know, Baba Dampolo too is a very rich man. But the most Dampolo can do or Baba can do is to pay fees for their children in the best schools in the world. True of us. But Dampolo cannot pay. No. And he cannot go to the shop and to the best university and buy knowledge and skills in a cup of tea and the child will drink because he's rich. It cannot happen. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yes, it's work to be done, which we fail to realize. So the bottom line is, for the past 10 years, we have been doing zero work that would take us to emergence. So now, recently...
What about the ring roads? So
no. I will come to it. Forget it. That's not emergence. So now, I will show you what emergence means. So recently, the president made another statement and says it is import substitution. You heard that, right? When he said it was import substitution, it clicked with my mind. I could understand it very well now, because import substitution is the way to emergence. If you can understand import substitution and put in place the strategies that would make you have that happen, then you will just get there. So it is 2035 recoined. So now, because I knew that for 10 years nobody was doing something about it, I took it upon myself as a responsibility to start shouting and telling people what import substitution is and what it is not. So I took it now, it's a responsibility because I'm an entrepreneur and I understood the strategies how to get there, and I know that nobody was doing anything about it, and I know that if we let it again, it will rot just like 2035. But now if we start doing what I'm saying, we will soon get to the we'll catch up on the lost time and we'll get to 2035. So the question is, what is 2035? 2035, and off camera I was telling you that to understand 2035 we should go to Saudi Arabia and look at their infrastructure. Because you thought emergence was the roads, the airports, all these beautiful things that you can see, feel and touch. You know, that development of the physical things, the logistics, that part A of development. So you think that because you have that part A of physical development, you have emerged. Is wrong. Physical emergence is when those physical things are built by your own children.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So when you empower them to do the work, yes, that is education.
Yes. When you give them what it takes for your own children to build your own airports, for your own children to build these Mercedes cars, for your own children to build the planes, then you have emerged. So emergence is a gray matter something. It's about skills and gray matter, that you are innovative enough that instead of bringing the Chinese to build our roads are built by our youths. That is emergence. If you don't have that, forget about emergence. So let us put it in very raw language. Let's say that we continue to drink and dance as we are doing, and the Chinese, for some good reason, they say there's some poor country down there called Cameroon, and they come and they tar all our roads, give us airports in all our regions, give us more planes than we need, give us whatever we need, build the factories and go. We have not emerged. Are you getting me? Let me show you a good example. Do you see that Palais de Congrès on top of the hill there? The Chinese built that thing 33 years ago. Do you know that they had to come back and renovate it and change the bulbs and change the dead toilets? And you say you are emerged when you cannot even as much as change your own children cannot change the bulbs and renovate it. Are you seeing the point? And I got very angry sometimes before the war started when I was driving from Bamenda to Yaoundé. You see that nice Bafia road? That road was constructed in 1985. And I saw a company redoing the road, resurfacing the road and changing the culverts. And it's a South Korean company that is doing it. And I was asking myself, you have all these schools of travel practice and so on. Your own children cannot put tar on this thing and change this thing. What the hell is wrong with us? Because, come to think of it, might be to build a road initially was tough. Are you getting me? Like the Chang Hill. You know the Chang Hill? The Falaise de Chang. Building that one is tough. Maybe you can use Chinese engineers to do that for you because it's tough. But when you are resurfacing the road in Sancho, your own children should do that. That's as easy as ABC. Why do you want the Chinese to come and resurface the road for you in Sancho? It doesn't make sense. It's stupidity. Are you getting what I'm saying? So until you can have the best of things, and now, of course, you know that we don't have a culture of maintenance and renovation in Cameroon. They build a building and we use it and let it get dirty until it rots and then breaks down again. Rewrote the same thing. We don't have that culture. So that is what is missing. The skills and the capacity. When you give that to your children, then you are ready to emerge. And for import substitution to work, we have to have skills. Skills for industry. Skills for industry means changing water into wine, changing pineapple into pineapple juice and selling it in Dubai. Lemon into lemonade. Skills into capacity means we no longer sell raw material. Because you sell raw material, you are getting nothing out of it. You transform them fully or partially before you export. Skills, and as of now, we spend a lot of money importing, but we have to reverse that and begin to export. Once you do that, we are done with. That is, once we have import substitution and emergence, a new term would come into Cameroon. And before I even give you the name of the term, are we independent or not? Can you answer that question? It's complex. Okay, let me not waste TV time. Might be political, we are independent. Do you see this might? But there's another type of independence called economic independence. When it comes to economic independence, are we independent or not? We are not. That is very clear for you too. Because now, 95% of all the things on our shelves are imported. So economic independence comes when 80% of the things you are using in your country are made by you. So that is when we will have real independence. That's when the white man will start respecting the black man when we can make our own things, when we can grow our own rice, when we can also begin to export finished goods. Until then, we are slaves.
Until then, we are slaves. And if you think that you're enjoying the program alone, of course not, because I'm picking little bits from the wealth of knowledge of Dr. Ning Guanyam, and of course, it has been an amazing journey. I have learned, I have unlearned, and I know that I'm beefing on my intellect. At this point in time, we are going to be talking about St. Louis University and him being a serial entrepreneur, the cumbersomeness of his journey as an entrepreneur, and how he's managed to delve out and to sail out of these challenges. We know every big businessman has, thousands of challenges staring at him on the face. Dr. Nick, we have people who have treaded this part of saying they want to be entrepreneurs, not necessarily, in a medical school, but even in petty business. And when they go, they face the frontiers of challenges and they take a U-turn.
Correct.
For you, it has been a long time, several decades.
Yes.
What is your fault as a businessman?
That's fine. The first and foremost thing is that don't stay in a box. If I had branded myself as a doctor and a surgeon, I would not be able to do it. You understand? But don't forget also, from my childhood, you were talking about me selling firewood, corn, and so on. So it's those little nuggets of things that put the spirit in you. And I remember I had my mother in Bali, because we also lived in Bali. And on the market day, this sewing machine, this singer that you turn with the hand. My mother would take that to the market, and I would be helping her to repair the wrappers of these women, to earn a few pennies. That was entrepreneurship. And
so everything to you matters?
It matters.
Constructed?
Yes. And if you check with my classmates, I was a photographer in CPC Bali. When I was in secondary school, Form 3, my father had gone to Zambia and he brought some photographic equipment because he was an artist. So this equipment was lying there. And I told him I wanted to go learn how to do photography. So he took me to a photographer's shop in Town Fuang, that's this in Bali. And I learned how to take pictures and then develop the negative and print them into pictures, those black and white pictures, and sell. So that was in Form 3. So when I went back to CPC, I asked for a room and I created a photographic club, and I had a room to myself where I installed all that my equipment. But I didn't have the money to buy a developer. The enlarger. The enlarger is an equipment where when you put the film in it, it enlarges the picture and you can capture it on a photographic plate, a paper. I didn't have. So what I started to do was, I would go to Bamenda, buy and the films, they used to come in rolls like this, and I had a Yashica camera at the time, and you used to look down like that. And on one spool you would have 12 pictures. So on Sundays I would go around and take pictures of students in CPC, do the best job I could, and then I would cut the negatives and sell it to them at 50 francs, and that gave me some money. And remember, on Sundays too, those photographers from whom I had learned how to take pictures would come back to school to CPC, and so there was a competition, and they would take my negative and give them to go and develop. Now when they go and put it inside their enlarger, they will not focus well, so the pictures will come out dull, to say that Guanyam doesn't know how to take pictures. You understand what I'm saying? And then, so I started to lose business. Then I said, okay, I will help you. This time around, I will take the negatives for you and go and develop them in Bamenda and bring back the pictures. So that's how I got back my business. And eventually, I got myself an enlarger, and I started to do everything from start to finish. And that's how I learned how to make money, from secondary school, starting in Form 3. Okay? And then when I went to university, can you imagine, I used to take pictures up until even 6th year when I was already graduating as a medical doctor. I would leave my medical, the pride of and I would go down there, even the first year students, I would take pictures and earn money. And those at that time, it was color pictures, and I would send them to Paris CEDEX. And then the color pictures would come and I would sell them and make money. So that is the background of my entrepreneurial spirit. And then when I was a medical doctor, I went to Nigeria and bought myself a 504 SR from Onitsha new, and I used it for 3 months, and I felt the goodness of being a medical doctor and so on. But one day I was sitting and scratching my head, but why am I keeping this car for? It doesn't make money. So I sold the car for 3 million francs. I took that money, went to Camille Toyota, borrowed 1 million francs, added on it, that made 4 million. I went to Camille Toyota and I bought myself a new Toyota Dina, the one for carrying passengers. It was in blue in color, and I put that on transportation, and it would transport passengers from Bamenda, Yaoundé, Bamenda. That's how I was making money. But I had to leave that to go and study. But that was the entrepreneurship thing in me, and yes, the development. And as I was saying, if I had wanted to just make money, I would have been the biggest transporter in Cameroon, because I was given the opportunity to have more buses to start a transport business, a fleet. But I wanted to go study, so I abandoned that.
We have lots of people asking me to ask you certain questions.
Yes.
Okay. Are you okay if I take it at this point in time?
Yeah, do.
Okay. Melon Kafu says, I admire Dr. Ningwanyam a lot. As a matter of fact, I'm looking forward to meeting him. Thank you so much, Kafu Milov. This one says, my name is Karine. Mabel, please, can you ask Dr. Ningwanyam what inspires him? I think we've asked that, but no problem, for the sake of clarity.
Yes. What inspires me is you must have some goals in life and some vision. What do you want to be? What is the most important thing to you? When you die, what will people remember you for? Did you just come around here to go eat, drink, dance, and just exist? No. How do I also become a fun lon? You understand? What is it that you want to do? And what are the problems? And you become somebody by solving problems. That's the most important thing. And the bigger the challenge, the bigger the pay, the bigger the reward. So you look for a problem to solve. And I have been looking for problems to solve. You start with the small problems, but always put in excellence. Try to do the best. Do the best you can with the little you have where you are. So if you are running away from problems, always looking for the easy path, you are not going to get it. So it's about, and when you see success, sometimes you see success comes easy. It's not as easy as it sounds. Let me tell you, 80% of newly constructed businesses fail. Yes, 80%. So you start. So behind my success, there's failure. I took money, 250 million francs from National Financial Credit, went to China, bought medical equipment in 2008 to come and sell. Nobody bought it for me, and I lost all that money, and I had to pay with interest. So there is always some failure, but you always learn a lesson from the failure. But if you are afraid of the failure, you will do nothing. If you are afraid of the challenges that people will mock you, people will insult you in politics, you will do nothing. So risk-taking is the thing. You must be able to take calculated risks.
Calculated risks. Thank you so much. So you must be able to take calculated risk. Ako Grace says, Mabel, I can look forward to meeting Dr. Nick Ngwanyam. Of course, you're going to meet him through this program. She says, I am not comfortable him being a member of the CPDM party. Dr. Nick, I think if you're focused on changing the country, then why not start by creating your own party? I just think all of these people singing Bia songs are bottlenecks. Okay, yes, thank you so much.
Right. She's right. But the question is, why am I not creating a political party? But there are already 367 political parties, right? There's no need to create a party. All you do is take the party that is there, that has national coverage, and then dust it and use it. That's it. It's common sense. Are you getting me? Correct it from the inside. You see, I do more from the house than from outside. If I were outside shouting all these things, it would have no impact. But when you are in the house shouting it, it has a multiplier effect. Yeah. So it's just a strategy. But things are getting corrected. Things are getting corrected as we speak now, but you are not seeing it. Yeah, but it would happen. But all I can tell you is that 2025 will not be the same.
2025, it's not going to be the same. This one, Collins Cham says, maybe can you please ask Dr. Nick if great people like himself have hobbies? And if yes, what are his hobbies? That's quite a funny and interesting one.
Yes, you must have hobbies, and you must have hobbies that distract you from your main thing. Otherwise, you become too frustrated at times. And when I was in secondary school, I used to draw a lot. Then, of course, my photography came in. And then for sports, I used to play tennis. But when I came to Douala, it's hot, so I don't play again because of the only sport I used to have was playing lawn tennis. And then what is my hobby now? Like I told you,
I don't consult again, okay? And then my focus is on feeding the sheep. You know, when Jesus Christ was about to leave, he says, Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord, feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? Yes, Lord, feed my sheep. Are you getting me? That feed my sheep means do something. Do something. And this do something comes from the fact that in 2008, there was a food crisis where there was violence. And you also heard about the Couper de Route thing and so on. And all these, many youth that don't have work. What are we going to change that narrative? You see, like the Anglophone war now, it also comes from the fact that children are not fed. By that feeding means there are no opportunities for youths. So now I spend my time trying to do, how do we feed the sheep? Are you getting what? That's why I put my energy. You will be surprised that I get out of, I got out of bed today because I was, you know, we had this to do and I had some other things. Otherwise, I don't get out of my bed before 11 or 12. No. But you will think I'm just lying in bed. No. I'm lying in bed on my back, but I'm working. It's mental work. And you will see me, a lot of people wonder, what is this old man always doing on WhatsApp and so on? There are many social media handles, right? But I'm afraid of Facebook and all the other ones. I don't go to them. I have only WhatsApp. But I also noticed that WhatsApp is a way of getting to people. And I also noticed when I check the content of WhatsApp, there's a lot of trash and a lot of things. So I pick a couple of things that are useful lessons, I bunch them together and I send them out, you know, that's mental change.